What's up? Welcome to Nighttime at the Nerd Bar. We're coming to you episode 55, and we have some super exciting stuff up ahead for you. We got some love and peace.
Yeah,
Not
we
exactly,
do.
but kind of. We'll talk about that.
We don't seem to be there yet.
Not yet.
But
But first, we should say who we got here. So, what's up? I'm Carrie Lane.
And I'm Katie Cullen.
Yes. And so we got some anime news for you about shows coming out and some other cool titles you might be interested in. We're going to be talking about Trigun Stampede as well as Vash the Stampede with some 1995 spoilers. Don't worry, we're going to put a bar up of text so you'll know, like, I don't want to watch that if you aren't up to date. We have a live chat going, so if you're watching live, join in. If you're watching later, no worries. Comment down below.
Yes.
And then at the very end, we'll tell you about other cool things that you should watch and check out. So, yay!
Indeed.
So things we are excited about. Also, we got that Monday energy for you, so it's kind of all I feel it's tired and erratic all at the same time.
It's been raining in LA. It rained all last week. We had a respite this weekend, and then it's going to rain all this week. And we just had actual factual thunder, which we don't usually get in LA. So, that is also the energy. Waking up on a rainy Monday morning and going, what do you mean I need to go to the office in this weather? So, well, some of us need to go into the office. Some of us get to work from home.
I get to work from home, but
I don't anymore.
Had a stay-at-home order where they're like, do not go outside. All freeway things are shut down. I'm like, all right, I guess I'm not going anywhere because there's flooding.
Wow.
Yep.
Heck.
They're like,
it's a good thing work from home is so widespread already because of COVID precautions.
Right. We got Giga Derek.
Hello, Giga Derek.
Hello. We got Charles saying humanoid typhoon. Yes. John Knight's not caught up because he's looking forward to watching the dub of My Hero, which, we will be talking about My Hero at the back end. So stay tuned for that. But we're talking about the sub. But yes.
And you can also just we have the lower thirds for a reason, so you can just kind of mute that bit, and then when the lower third changes back, the conversation is done. We've moved on to something new. We have a very good lower third system, and we're very good about labeling our spoilers, which is why, again, we have a specific special lower third for spoilers for the OG Trigun anime. So for those of you who are only watching Stampede, we do a conversation about just Stampede. And then we will move into comparisons and bringing up the older anime, because if you've done both, it's impossible to watch one without comparing to the other. And then we move on to My Hero Academia, and it's all just delineated in the lower thirds. That's what they're there for. They are a visual aid for people who want to mute their spoilers.
Yes.
So we care about you people.
Yes, all of you all. So let's get into things we're excited about, which is kind of like news and announcements.
Yes.
So take it away, Katie.
We have two pretty dang big ones from Crunchyroll today. First, a little bit from this weekend. When we mentioned that the Nier Automata anime was coming to Crunchyroll, we didn't have a release date at the time. Now we do. It premiered the same day as Trigun Stampede, which means the first episode dropped this past Saturday the 7th, which means we're looking at a Saturday release. And also, if you didn't know, the first episode of the Nier Automata anime is now available on Crunchyroll. So if that's something that you've been looking forward to, definitely hop on over once the show is done and go check it out, because it's available. Do the thing. It should be super fun. In terms of other premieres, for those of you who are super into Vinland Saga, and why wouldn't you be? Crunchyroll has announced that Season 1 is available on Crunchyroll for the first time, and Season 2 premiered today. Premiered about 8 hours ago. So, if you're interested in Vinland Saga, and if you've been awaiting this season with bated breath, we have the first episode. It dropped today. Hop on over and check it out. And for those of you who are not familiar with Vinland Saga, Anime Vikings in Denmark, you guys. It is, I have not had the opportunity to watch it myself, but my God, just from what I've seen, the animation is absolutely beautiful. This is one of those historically based anime that really goes for it. And Season 1 has a lot of very deserved hype. So Season 1 is easily available to watch on Crunchyroll for all of your catching up needs. And Season 2 premiered today. So it looks like we're getting Monday air dates for Vinland Saga Season 2. Check it out.
Apparently, pack your tissues. Charles says Vinland Saga premiere was so heartbreaking. All right, well, good to know.
It definitely strikes me as the kind of anime that does not pull punches, just from what I've seen.
Yeah.
There are some where you go in like, oh yeah, this will be fun. Oh yeah, this will be this. And there are some where you go in like, this is going to hurt me and I'm going to love every second of it. And Vinland Saga strikes me as the latter.
Yeah.
That's not a bad thing. That is not in any capacity a bad thing.
But it means it's so good that you care. So
yes.
I'm okay with that.
Yes. Yes.
Make me feel something.
Yes. Yes.
All right.
Deserved feels, not
yes.
Not a. We've watched and covered a few things where they go for low blows, and that is not what Vinland Saga does.
Yeah.
Just, yep. That's the media criticism sort of thing, not the news sort of thing. So, Carrie, what have you got for us?
Yes. Real quick though, another announcement. Charles points out that Vampire Dies in No Time season 2 also premiered today.
Let's go. For those
this
of you
new
who have
season
not
is
watched,
exciting.
Yeah. For those of you who have not watched Vampire Dies in No Time, it is the hardest I've laughed at an anime in literal years. It is a comedy about an up-and-coming vampire hunter who has to room with the world's worst vampire, worst as in failing at being a vampire, after he accidentally burns the guy's mansion down. It's absolutely hysterical. The pet armadillo is the character with the brain cell. And for those of you who like watching it dubbed, we talked to Frank Tadaro, who is the voice of Draluc, about, I don't remember how many weeks ago that was. It was a chunk of time ago, but that is available on this channel. It is in the title of the episode where we talked to him. So definitely go back and check that out. If you are a fan of Vampire Dies in No Time, definitely watch season 2. It's great in sub. It's great in dub. You know, pick your preference and then just go. Don't drink anything while you're watching it. It will cause problems. That I cannot emphasize how absolutely hilarious and just completely buck wild that show is in the best ways. I'm picky with my comedy. There's a lot of stuff that I don't care for, and I love this show. So do the thing.
I'm going to keep it going because we got some other go-go ones. Gigadera points out Sunday was a mid-season finale for Gundam Witch from Mercury. If you forgot it was a Gundam, you are reminded passionately. All right.
That's rude. just as someone who's in the periphery of that show and watching some of the discussion from the mid-season finale, that's rude. I love it.
Alrighty. Continuing on news, G-Kids made an announcement. New Gods, Yang Jian?
Yang Jian, I believe.
Thank you.
Jian. I'm not going to pretend to know.
I'm like, well, that's what I would guess too, Yang Jian. So it's the Chinese box office smash hit from acclaimed Light Chaser Animation. This film also had a premiere at the Animationist Film Festival, which we covered here on this channel. You can go check out that playlist. So now it is going to be coming to theaters in January 20th. So check your local listings. A beautiful animation style, and G-Kids is a wonderful distribution company, and they really bring quality productions to theaters for those of us to be able to access it. So check that out.
And the more you support animation in theaters, the more we get animation in theaters outside. And again, there's nothing wrong with Fathom events, but it's really nice getting widespread anime releases outside of one night only Fathom events. So if you feel safe going to a theater, definitely do the thing. If you don't feel safe going to a theater, no judgment. Everyone takes their own precautions.
Yes. So another thing that's not anime, but I'm very excited about because I really enjoyed the first chunk of this show is Carnival Row is finally coming back. I'm like, yes! This is news from Amazon. So they have a official trailer for the final season, and the second and final season will consist of 10 episodes, with 2 episodes premiering every week starting on February 17th.
Oh,
and
wow.
yes, so I'm super excited because that's a show that if you're into fantasy and period piece films, it is like a match made in heaven on that, because it's just such a beautiful and interesting kind of blend of those two things. They have some other not necessarily unique themes, but unique approaches to themes and how to address those. And yes, I very highly recommend that show. So I'm excited for season 2 coming out February 17th. So stay tuned.
And that's February 17th. Yeah, that's a Friday release. So
all right.
You finish up your work week, you get your beverage of choice, and you sit down and chill with your favorite show.
Yes, I'm
Yeah.
excited. All right, so actually, something else we are very excited about because a new show's back. I think we're ready about it. Yes?
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, I think we're in.
So there's a show, a little thing. We covered it and talked about it a bit back when Anime Expo was happening.
Yes.
And we got to go to a panel and got to see we got to see the
sizzle reel, basically.
Yeah, thank you. I was like, what? It wasn't like a scene. Yeah, sizzle reel for
basically a sizzle reel.
Yes.
I cried.
So now, Katie,
I cried. You were there. I cried.
You've seen the full episode. What are your initial thoughts?
This animation is amazing. I know that some people had compunctions because 3D animation is not always executed up to a standard that you would expect. And this is the point where we all kind of gesture loudly at X-Arms, but that is the exception, friends, not the rule. Studio Orange does incredible work. If you watched Beastars, you know that. So the fluidity and expressiveness of this animation, because that is really what you need when you are tackling Trigun, and especially tackling the character of Vash the Stampede, because this is what he is. This guy moves like water. They call him the humanoid typhoon for a reason, and he is just
very animated.
Very, very animated. The facial expressions that you can tell that the animation team was having a lot of fun. Like when you're watching something, you can always kind of tell who's the favorite character, who gets the extra flourishes, who gets if the stage direction is they cross the room, who just walks, who does a pirouette, who bounces, like who's the favorite character of the animation studio. And generally speaking, you can pick that out. I think the favorite character is everyone so far, but they have really put a lot of emphasis on Vash, as it should be, because he has, I want to say, the highest highs and the lowest lows. He oscillates so much. And also, shout out to Meryl's expressions. My God, Meryl's expressions
very relatable. She says her...
But they were so well done. It was enough exaggeration without making it look too weird.
Yes.
Because 2D animation, you can do some crazy style flips in a heartbeat and then flip back. That's an upside of 2D animation. 3D, you need the models. So for them to be able to do those animations and to get that exaggeration and get that incredible expression without having to break a model while working within the confines of 3D animation, that is not an easy needle to thread. They did an incredible job there.
Agreed.
I'm here for the story. I'm here for the characters we saw. I'm enjoying, what was his name? Robert? I think his name was Robert, the new guy.
Yes.
He is for those going, what do you mean? He was not in the OG.
Yeah, I was a little bit like,
new addition, but I like him a lot.
He's a good combo to Meryl so much because she needs that balance.
Oh, yeah. Because we have Meryl as this fresh out of college, very intellectual, raring to go. Like, again, when you've just graduated college, generally speaking, you have a very different view on the world than when you've been living in it for a while. So having her as this bright-eyed, extremely it's very bright, very driven character, contrasting with
by
Robert's...
the rules, too.
Yes.
Very by the book rules.
Extremely. Contrasting with Robert's world-weary, streetwise, like understanding how things... We have the how things should work versus how things actually work. And they work in tandem extremely well, and they also clash extremely well. Just that initial scene of the two of them in the car talking to each other, and it's a great conversation that gives you both of their worldviews in a nutshell, a little bit of history from each of them, enough that you can go, okay, they've been talking for maybe 60 seconds, and I understand them both well enough to care. It is very difficult to write a scene like that again, with that much precision, with the ability to accomplish exposition and characters, and just, it was very, very well crafted. This was very well set up in terms of introducing characters. I'm a little iffy on how it's handling the story. And
Mhm.
some of that discussion is definitely going to be in spoiler territory for the 1995 anime, and we'll get to that. I'm just really wondering where they're going to go, because they sure did give us the villain of the piece in episode 1. Do you know how many episodes we have? I don't know that. Does anyone know, have we had any confirmation as to how many episodes will be in this season, and whether it's a multi-season thing or if it's a one and done? This is not information I have off the bat. So if it's a 13 episode one and done, then I can understand that.
For my
But
quick Google search, it says 26.
Okay.
But I'm like, but is that like, yeah, good question.
Yeah. So I'm very much wondering about, okay, this is what we've introduced. These are the mechanics. We've talked about the plants and how they look and how they function.
Mm-hmm.
It's not confirmed, but most likely 12. Google says 26.
Yeah, but I
feel
think
like
that might include the old stuff too, of like looking at it. And I'm like,
26 was the previous anime, definitely.
I feel nowadays most shows are about that 12.
Yeah. Unless they're like multi-season or shonen.
Or they do
the shonen ones
break.
just go.
They'll do a 12 and then another 12. Season 1, part 1, part 2.
Yeah. So until we have confirmation on how many episodes we have, and I don't know if that information is available publicly yet. So
they might not have released it.
If it is a 12 episode one and done, then it makes sense that they would immediately swing into it like this. That's kind of the vibe that I'm getting just from the pacing we had here. But we'll see. We already have seen how important plants are to this world and how difficult it is to repair it and how bad things get if something goes wrong with them. We have the introduction of government agents and enforcement. We've got a fair number of pieces in place. We don't have the fourth character that's on the poster yet, but we'll get there. We will definitely get there. Studio Orange has never done longer than 12 episodes at a time for their anime. That's true. That also doesn't tell us how long the season order is, what the airing schedule is going to be, if there's going to be multiple seasons. Like, I appreciate the pattern recognition. I do. I am still going to wait for an official confirmation because I try not to base too much on, for lack of a better term, unsubstantiated information. Like, I appreciate the pattern recognition, and I think that's a good direction to look, but I am going to wait for the announcement, as it were.
A fun one I noticed, because for the voice of Vash, I was like, he sounds familiar. He sounds familiar. He sounds familiar. Looked him up, and yes, you might know him as the voice of Kirito and Inosuke. Which, go figure, that he's both of those guys.
Boy, it's almost like he has range. Too. For the English dub, it's Bryce Papenbrook.
No, but I meant both of them play Kirito and Inosuke. So go figure that they both do that. So the Japanese one.
Go ahead.
It's I'm gonna try it. Yoshitsugu Matsuoka is the voice actor, and he is the voice of Kirito, and he is the voice of Inosuke over in Demon Slayer, and SAO. There we go. I'm like, oh my gosh, words today. Anyways, I thought he was doing fantastic. Like,
oh my god, yes.
He felt so familiar, and this is not spoiling it, but same as we were saying for the 95, but it is hard to look at it and not be like a comparison. So for me, I enjoyed it a lot. Oh, I have a quick question. Do you feel is the animation style also similar to Ruby, would you say?
No.
Okay, I haven't watched Ruby, so it's just from like when I've seen stills, I'm like, it looks like it to me.
In terms of like, I don't think cell shading is the correct term, but in terms of how you do coloring in a 3D environment, yes.
Okay.
But it just in terms of functionality, flow, modeling, details, like completely different.
I haven't actually watched Ruby in animation, so I'm like, just what I've seen the pictures of.
Okay, you gotta. I'm gonna
Yes.
get you started on that. And 2, Ruby was originally built in Poser, and then I think now is being built in Maya. It might not be Maya. Point is, they are using. I don't know what tool Studio Orange is using,
Mhm.
but Rooster Teeth Animation has a very different pipeline and a very different approach, and
Yeah.
honestly, a very different budget. So,
Oh, yeah. Well, this one, when I
this-
first, that's my initial going in, just seeing some stills of Ruby, like the color palette you were saying, like that kind of how things are colored and shaded in a way. I'm like, that makes me think of it familiar. But again, not having watched it, it's just like the back of your brain there, you're like vaguely familiar. But
I'm curious as to what stills you got, because that really changes things in
no,
terms
just
of
like in
color
my
palette, what we're looking at.
general exposure to it. Like I can't say anything specific, but just what I've seen things of.
Fair. I would say no. Very
Okay.
different.
Very fair.
Very
Thank
different.
you. I think it. I'm the animation is a little weird, but I'm curious to see where it goes in terms of like the fluidity and the expressions. Agree, off
Oh,
the
yeah.
charts. Love it, fantastic. Just the regular how it is. I'm like, it's different, but that doesn't mean it's bad. It's just like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm here for it. I think Vash, like as the episode went on, I'm like, yes, that is him. Yes, the packaging's a little different, but I'm totally here for it. I love the hair. I like the vibe. I think, yeah, the voice actor is fantastic. That I'm like, yes, this is the guy. We all how you can't help but love him, and it's like, yes,
Yeah.
this is why everybody's like, oh, he's my buddy, and he's so fantastic. It's like, no, really, because he is, and you're just like, yes,
Yeah. He's a great guy.
and yeah, the storytelling, it's been so long since, or it's been a while since I've watched the original. I know I've watched the original at least a couple times, but I'm like, I'm like, this is definitely not the order of things. And there's a couple things that are a little bit different, but I like it being different in the sense of it doesn't feel like you're watching a carbon copy. It's something, a newer take on it. So I'm here for it. I'm liking it. Let us know your thoughts down below.
So I want to do a little noodling before we go into spoiler territory.
Yes.
Just a little fun thought exercise. So I watched the dub because of course I did for the OG anime. And Vash was voiced by Johnny Young Bosch, who
Yes.
OG humans may recognize as a Power Ranger. But
Yes.
he's done so much stuff, and he really, really threaded the needle between just the crazy, wild yelling, that absolutely buck wild laugh, being able to scream love and peace and sell it, and the really deep, emotional, terrifying parts. Like, Johnny Young Bosch is an incredible voice actor with incredible range, and for me, that is the voice of Vash the Stampede. When we were at the panel at, my brain says LA Comic-Con, that's not correct, Anime Expo, they made the point of, this is a different take. We're going in a different direction. It's still Vash the Stampede, but we're doing a different thing. Let's noodle a little bit. English voice of Vash the Stampede. Who do you think? Who would you recommend?
Oh, for like a new one? I am
Yeah!
I am not the one of
know.
I'm like, who would I do? I mean, if we're gonna go with who the voice was before,
Bryce Papenbrook, if we're following that pattern.
Yes. And I say this because if people are new here, I'm more of a I watch more sub than I do dub. But I'm curious because, like you mentioned, I'm glad you said that in terms of it's a different direction. But this person we've seen in just this one episode, I'm like, yep, that's it.
Oh,
it's the Leonardo DiCaprio meme. Yeah, I'm like, no, that's totally him. I'm like,
yeah.
Like, there's no doubt that is like him encapsulated. So I'm so curious. I would be curious to see who they pick, because it doesn't feel like, as we were saying, someone said in the chat too. Not cast Johnny Young Bosch. I don't know. Like, but again, they're doing a different direction. So
they very much said they're doing a different direction. I would not fight it if they cast Johnny Young Bosch. Right? I would not object to that. That would be, again, he's shown that he can kill it.
Yes.
We do have a different version of Vash running around.
Yes.
I would love to see Alejandro Saab. I think that would be, I think he's got the range. I really do think that he's got the ability to do the very serious emotional bits and then also just go way off the deep end and go nuts. For those of you going, wait, what? If you're a Genshin Impact
I
person,
was
he
like,
played Sino. That's, I think, currently the big role. He does quite a few things. He's in Pokemon. He's in quite a bit. When I initially started watching his work, it was Nomad of Nowhere on Rooster Teeth, and he was voicing Red Manuel. And Red Manuel is one of those like
Hmm.
Starscream type villains where he's kind of terrible, he's kind of competent, but only kind of. Nobody really respects him even when he has authority. You love to hate him. You love to see him get kicked in the face. You also kind of maybe want to see him turn his life around a little. And his Red Manuel voice was unbelievably good, just in terms of being able to deliver all of that. So he's got the range, he's got the chops, and he's got the ability to go from that very deep emotional moment to just nuts. So that's my pitch. I would love to see Alejandro Saab take it. Like, I think my dude's got it. I think he does.
who are your fan cast choices? Let us know. Leave a comment. Be nice. Nobody be mean.
I'm pretty sure that's the one where everyone's like, that wasn't what I was expecting you to say. I'm like, yeah, but I always kind of like pulling things out for fan cast. Like it's no shade against anyone. We don't shade.
No.
We only shade people who deserve it on this show.
Yes.
Again, Johnny Young Bosch would be amazing. Bryce Papenbrook would, of course, kill it because Bryce Papenbrook is the ultimate shonen protagonist. But I also try to match like character and timbre, all of the emotional ability to. I'm not explaining this well, but you know what I mean. Big names are big names for a reason, but I also really want to see the people who. Josh Greeley would be a really interesting one. He's also got that. Or they also have that, rather. Pardon me. So yeah, that'd be a fun one. Me sitting here just going through my Rooster Teeth alumni like, okay, but like, yeah, no, I think Josh Greeley, I think, would be a really fun choice too. Like, I'm still throwing in behind Alejandro, and I'm sure that Crunchyroll like already has a dub cast figured out and have probably already recorded several episodes. Like, I would not be surprised if that were the case, and everything is heavily under NDA until we get closer to the dub premiere. So this is why this is just noodling.
Well, speaking of what it was before, any other thoughts before we go into tying into the 95? So. Because I do agree that it's like you almost cannot talk about the new one for most fans, because most of us have seen the original. Not everybody. And yay, I'm so glad new people are coming to the franchise.
Yes.
It's like,
oh my God.
Welcome. If you've never seen this anime, you need to check it out.
Welcome to this is your Yasuhiro Naito gateway. You come in and you're like, this is wild. And then the next thing we show you is Gungrave. Gungrave has so much edge. My God. It's a great show, but holy cow. Buckwild.
Missing
that is something I was trying to keep under the spoiler cut.
Kind of. Well, you mentioned there's a amount there. So here we go. If you have not watched the 1995 version of the series and you want to know nothing about it, this is when go away and then come back.
And I would say absolutely watch the 1995 version.
Highly recommend.
The sub is great. The dub is phenomenal. Like, do both. It's so it's the animation too. My God,
and
I think it was mostly still hand drawn.
Don't worry, you're not going to feel like it's boring to watch the same thing.
Oh my God, yes. So even just I want to talk a little bit about pacing. Because the 1993 one had, I believe, 23 episodes. I don't think it had the full 26. I think it had 23. I said 1993. Holy hell.
95.
It had quite a few.
Yes.
We didn't start hitting really heavy plot until episode like 14. We hit
Yeah.
that halfway point before we really started hitting things. And I think our flashback episode was around 16, 17. Might be a little earlier than that. That might be a little too late, but like we didn't start getting into Millions knives and the
No.
gung ho guns and like all of that going on until much later on. And we didn't get the backstory. It's his brother. Here's Project Seeds. Here's Rem. Here's what happened. Like, we didn't get all of that for a while.
Yep.
So we had a lot of Vash going around, and we didn't get the first plant until I want to say the first episode with the plant is dying. We need to figure it out was like four or five. So we had a little bit of we're getting into this character, the 60 billion double dollar man, which I was a little disappointed to see the current bounty at 6 million and have it just be normal dollars. There was something absolutely insane about the currency being double dollars and 60 billion. Just it was so exaggerated that it really drove home like what the deal was with this guy. And that the first shot is of seeing him confronted by these bounty hunters, cut to the title card, cut away, meeting Millie and Meryl, who are insurance agents. There's just so many changes. And that's not a bad thing. I'm not going to stand here and say it's a bad thing. It's a very different direction, which is why I'm interested to see what we're doing and where we're going. I'm not surprised that we didn't go Wolfwood off the bat. Wolfwood also took about 8 episodes to show up in the OG, so that's not a big deal. But the fact that they showed us knives right off the bat, that we started with Project Seeds going down. Legato was introduced in 12, thank you. And I think he got wrecked in 19. It was, but it was still fun. It was still fun.
What made it like sci-fi-y, like, you know, it's because it's a sci-fi western, but you almost forget that it's sci-fi until the things pop up. You're like, that's such a cool blend of, you know, and early on having that.
Even in terms of yen to dollar confusion, if you cut 2 decimal points off of 60 billion, you're at 600 million, which is still a lot. So again, I think the bounty for New Vash is probably a little more reflective of this world and how hard up things are and how difficult it is. But I still remember just the conversation from the very first episode of the 95 anime with the joke about the Undertaker was so rich, he built himself a mansion made of wood, making it clear that wood is a very scarce material on this desert planet. Like, it's not that we don't have the world building here. I think it's that the new show is going more quickly into the plot, which would make sense if it was going to be a 12-episode thing, as opposed to the older one, which really gave us some time to breathe and took some time introducing these characters and telling us about them. And you don't know anything about Vash except that he's an extremely talented gunslinger and kind of a total weirdo. And you get a lot of Millie rolling with it and going, oh, this is so funny. I really like him. And Meryl being extremely frustrated with all of his bullshit, which is valid. It's fun to watch, but you wouldn't want to deal with someone like that in your day-to-day life.
Well, I'm just wondering if they sped up the process, because if you had no idea what's going on, you know, you're giving these pieces, but it's a puzzle where you go, okay, I get there's pieces. I have no idea how they fit together. So it's still intriguing. And then for those of us who already know, we're going, what we're doing now. So how are you going to like do this story with that? So I think that's kind of exciting to know. No manga spoilers, but I am curious if anybody's read the manga. Does it go in this order? Because I thought that was something at the panel, that this is a little more manga, or no?
It's been a long time since I read the manga.
Good question. Okay.
The manga does some very buck wild thing. Again, when we're talking Naito Sensei, he I don't want to say he doesn't understand moderation. I think it's more that he chases things to their logical conclusions and then goes, but what if we just go a couple steps further? And then things get absolutely buck wild. For those who've read the manga, I'm very much thinking of Zazie the Beast. Things just get real weird around Zazie. But yeah, it's hard to predict. So much of Naito is hard to predict because it's hard to read him. You think something's going to zig and it zags, and it makes more sense to zag, but you sure didn't realize that before it zagged. So I don't know if we have the luxury of a slow build for this anime like we did with
I
the
don't think
95 one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I have 12, 13
Wait,
episodes
so
is sounding about right.
what about I was confused also when they called him Nails, and I'm like, I thought it was Knives.
They called him Nye at the start. That was his
I was
name.
hearing Nails. Oh my goodness, because like my ears, I'm like
in the flashback, it was subbed as Nye, N-A-I.
Okay.
I think they kept thousands, millions knives.
No, they said the millions, but like the way they said it, I constantly was hearing Nails. If anybody was hearing that too, let me know. Because I was, we're watching it sub, and so you're reading it. We're all doing that right now. But anybody else hearing Nails? Because I was so confused. I'm like, did they really just change his name? Like, okay.
I could have sworn it was subbed as Knives. Like,
I mean,
I didn't think they would change the character name.
I didn't think they would either. Please let me know. Did you hear that and maybe read it different? Because that happens too, where there's anime where
having
like,
a glass onion moment where what's real?
What is their name? Okay.
Oh my god.
Big Dare said I heard Knives. Okay, I don't know. Like,
it's you, Carrie.
It could be. You know what? This is why I watch like everything with subtitles.
Exactly. Even stuff that's originally in English, like put the subs on. Put the subs on. What do you mean there's no subtitle file? What are you doing for accessibility at this network? Anyway. So I will be very interested to see where this goes. I do miss Millie. She was my favorite. So it's good that we have Robert to kind of balance out the world weary thing, especially since we have made Meryl this much younger, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed sort of character. It is very hard not to do the comparisons. That doesn't make it a bad thing. It just means that if you've seen the 95 version, you have a stepping off point. You have a
frame of reference.
Frame of reference is a good one. A building point, an idiom. I forgot the idiom, but frame of reference. You have a specific frame of reference, and you're looking at this one going, how does this fit with what I know? What's new? What's different? What are we doing? First episode of Stampede reminds me of the first episode of Brotherhood. I would argue that Brotherhood, you needed to know what you were getting into already. Whereas Stampede is a much better stepping on point for someone who has only ever heard of Trigun and, hey, is it that guy in the red trench coat? So, like, I would argue differently, but that's my opinion. The one thing that I think I really need to see in order to judge, and it's impossible not to compare this, I need to see what the opening theme for Stampede is going to be.
Need to hear it. Yep.
Because the opening theme for the OG is called HT, and it's a 95-second guitar piece, and it is unbelievably good. The entire soundtrack for the OG anime is unbelievably good. Very rarely do I keep a soundtrack from a piece. Very rarely do soundtracks speak to me as a whole that much. I have the Tron Legacy soundtrack, and I have the Trigun soundtrack. And that's kind of it in terms of soundtracks that I keep just on their strength alone. The soundtrack for the The soundtrack for the 95 anime was so unbelievably good, so very, very strong that it's really hard to sit here and go, because I was listening for the soundtrack for Stampede and going, how does it compare? How does it measure up? There's so much personality in the 95 one that it's kind of hard to see what we got going on.
So
anyway,
Radpoint says that maybe the idea of like this new Meryl is a combo of 95 Millie and Meryl.
I don't know.
I think they also probably whittled down how many other characters are going on to tell the story faster.
True. And again, we needed a world weary something or other, and we made Robert, which works for what they're trying to say. Again, I miss Millie. Doesn't mean it's bad. It'd be really interesting to see what the approach to Wolfwood is.
Yes.
How much of it aligns, how much of it's different. Because a lot of the fun was him and Wolfwood just bouncing off of each other, and Wolfwood being both a great and a terrible Catholic. So yeah, again, I just really need to see the opening theme for Stampede. I
Mhm.
really need them to just show me. If it's a new thing, I will judge it on its own merits. If they reuse HT with new footage, I would not say no. Uh, that is the one thing I'd say. If you're listening to us talk about this and you haven't seen the 95 anime, just go onto YouTube, HT Trigun, and just put that in your ears. Just put
Mhm.
that in your ears. Blue Funk is really good. I am inordinately fond of Sound Life and Carrot and Stick. Carrot and Stick is just a fun piece. You can hear what's happening in that piece. It's got such a good personality.
Mm.
It's really hard for me to describe it, but like Carrot and Stick has just such a vibe. It's just such a vibe.
So I've not verified, but Charles says that the opening theme is released on the Toho YouTube channel.
Well, I guess I'm going diving after the show.
And we have a new name on here. Beldan's Fire says search Trigon AMV and you are good. Why, thank you and hello. I don't think I've seen your username there.
Welcome. Hi.
Yes.
I feel like Trigun AMV would net you a lot.
That would be a very wide net.
A
But
lot.
we'll find
I
it,
think if you're going to search for Trigun AMV, look up Tainted Donuts. That is the best one. Everyone fight me. Like, that AMV is 20 years old. I know. And it's amazing.
Alrighty.
Sometimes you make something with extremely early Photoshop, and it holds up.
Anything else for Trigon before we move on to My Hero?
I don't think so. Just
All right.
it's hard not to compare things. I do want to take Stampede on its own strengths.
Yes.
And I am really looking forward to seeing where they go from here. Like, I am excited.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Tainted Donuts. Just do it. Just do it.
I agree.
Love yourself. It's so good.
I want to see where it goes and looking forward to it. A very different tonal thing. We have My Hero Academia this last episode. And I was totally thinking of you when you're like, disaster things. And I'm like, yay, here's the aftermath of disasters. And I'm all, did we shift to a post-apocalyptic show? But that's like the sad and disturbing part of that reality in terms of like, once there is a disaster, very appropriate. Dare said, yes, last time on My Trauma Academia. Yes, that's where that is now.
I want to point something out before we go any further.
Mm-hmm.
Hope and despair. Yep. New opening, new ending.
Yeah.
And I want to point out in the opening, we stay on the title for a long time.
Okay.
A long time. Usually your title card for an opening is a couple seconds. We were there for a solid 6, 7, maybe 10. And that makes me think that there's going to be spoilers behind that, and they don't want to reveal them yet because it hasn't happened in the show. I think that the footage that we're seeing for this opening for this episode is not going to be the same footage that we have for the opening a few episodes down the line. In the same way that in some episodes, the footage for the ending changed. So I think that hanging on that, because usually if you're hanging on the title card that long, it's a budgetary issue. I don't think it's a budgetary issue for My Hero Academia, just generally speaking. So yeah, I don't think I think that we're going to see some footage changes for the OP once we get further into the season.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's going to be, but yeah. And by the way, no manga spoilers. Yeah. Just because I know we've got some new people here. Hi, we love you. You're wonderful. Welcome. No manga spoilers for My Hero Academia. Neither of us have read ahead. I got a couple of random spoilers here and there just by existing on the internet. They are contextless. One of them was in this episode. Yeah. So, well.
What was the thing that spoiled in this episode for you?
Midnight's death.
I know. I have a moment of nobody, but yeah.
Oh, friend.
I know. I was like,
I knew the second she went down like 5 episodes ago, like, fuck.
Yeah.
Interviewing Elizabeth Maxwell at oh my god, Anime Pasadena, and just not saying anything because it was spoilers and I didn't actually know if she'd recorded that episode yet. So it's like
Yeah.
So I knew that it happened. I
Yeah.
did not know the manner, the timing, anything. So
Mm.
when she went down in the fight against Gigantomachia, I'm like, oh no, this is it. She went down, and then that horde of villains happened upon her. I'm like, no, they're gonna double tap. They're not stupid. They're gonna.
Yeah.
And lo and behold,
Yeah.
yikes, yikes.
Yeah, I also felt they maybe were going to just do it that way, which real quick, if anybody is new here, when we're talking about the episode, we're talking everything in this episode. So if you're not up to date on that episode, probably dip out and then come back.
Yeah, again, just
So
mute the video. We will
yeah.
change the lower third when the conversation's done. That's why we do these lower thirds, to be mindful of people.
But yeah, Giga points out nobody but traumatizing crying class 1A. So I'm like, yeah, that was my other thought. I'm like, all right, well, maybe they're just not going to be as like graphic and like show her
Yeah.
dead body. And
Yeah.
I was like, no.
They showed
But
the holding her hand, and then the
yeah.
other teacher who died, they showed
Yeah, that one
like,
was a little more graphic of blood and
just the
stuff.
bloodied mass. It's like,
Yeah.
okay. Oh no. Oh dear.
Well, shout out to Rab in the chat. No, somebody else kind of mentioned they're like, oh, you're talking about it? I gotta go. So that was just kind of our new thing, because we have people maybe who are new from Trigun joining us, and then maybe they're watching My Hero. I didn't know we did it. So the thing though, I'm okay with her dying because it just shows the severity of the world they live in and the stakes. I don't want her to have died, but I think it almost needs that reminder of like, oh no, this shit is serious. Like this is dangerous and everything. And yeah, on that report, those kids did not work with us.
It's no, the students were there. They were all of them at the evacuation site. None of them engaged in the fight against Shigaraki.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
It's like season 2, the fight with Stain, where it's like, because you don't have hero licenses, we have to strike you from the record so you don't get prosecuted.
Yep.
So Endeavor's going to get the credit, and your reward is not getting fucking prosecuted, children. So yeah, very much having to put, the kids were not involved in the big, horrifying, awful fight against the guy that made this the fucking day after tomorrow. You know, we totally didn't put children in the line of fire.
No.
They put themselves there.
And
I mean, they kind of did.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. It's an extremely rough one. Yeah.
And then I also appreciated in the sense of showing the severity after those tragedies, because there is so much aftermath and how that can weigh on a person. Because we that one hero that's like, I can't do this.
Oh yeah.
Because anybody who's trying to help in after disasters, it's like, it's a lot. So understandably, it can be too much for a lot of people.
I had mixed thoughts about that. Multiple different mixed thoughts. For one, I don't like disaster movies because
that's why I was thinking of you. I'm like,
I think I've talked about this on the show before. I don't handle wide scale destruction like that very well. There is something deep in me that finds it very upsetting. Reasons I've only seen Cloverfield once, and despite loving it and the lore, I have found myself unable to watch that movie again for that same reason. So this was one of those like, ooh, I'm not comfortable with it. I understand why they're doing it, and it's a very good beat to hit. I personally am having some trouble with this. But on the flip side of that, like, the crumbling of hero culture symbolized by a single dude having a crisis of faith is one of those things where it's like, on the one hand, I understand your need to do this shorthand. This makes sense. And on the other hand, it's like, who the fuck is that? Who is this guy? Why does he matter? I understand, but I think it would make more sense if it was someone we'd seen more than once ever. Even just like because we've actually seen multiple D-list heroes and saw one get fucking arrested because he was a sympathizer and we recognized him and knew him. He's had like 10 lines total, but we knew him. So I think it would have been a little less, and who is this rando, if it had been someone where we've seen them on occasion. It's a sidekick who's always kind of in the background, but we've met them. They have a name. Them going, this is beyond what I'm able to handle.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that, oh no, he couldn't handle it, but like, no, valid. Everyone has what they can handle and what they
Yep.
cannot, and it differs for everyone. So I'm not going to stand here and go, well, he should have. No. Absolutely valid to understand what your limits are. I just think it was a little like that bit in Attack on Titan where one of the scouts gets eaten, season 2, one of the scouts gets eaten by Berthold, and it's this whole, oh no, that guy! And the subtitles literally say, not that guy! It's just this bit where, like, some unnamed fucko had to die because we needed the harness.
Yep.
And it's just one of those, like, this feels like, oh no, not that guy. You know? I very
Well-
much understand the point they were trying to make.
Mm-hmm.
I do not think this was the best execution for it, because it really was some random fucko. You know?
Yes.
That's where I am on that. And then
I
again,
didn't
that's my
mind it
personal
because it
opinion.
was just there's so many we've met and they've all generally been really good. So I'm like, all right, fine. We get this guy who sucks. The thing I was gonna say,
I wouldn't even say that he sucks. You know, again,
no,
it's
like,
everyone
we
has
don't-
their different limits.
yeah. But more like everyone else we've seen before has all been so amazing. So I don't think they would say that. More like that.
True.
Um,
No, what I'm saying is we should have backloaded
maybe
a
met him
character.
once. Yeah. Yeah.
Met him once or twice. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
gonna help you. I'll be here with the evacuation. It's one of those like we've met the oh my god, the cats, that rescue squad. Maybe
Mm.
even not that level of screen time,
Yeah.
but enough that it's like, oh, this is a person we know.
Mhm.
You know, they may not be our personal favorite. We may not know like everything about them, but like, oh yeah, we've met them a couple times. The class knows them. And then that person having a crisis of faith and Uraraka witnessing it. I feel like even if it's a minor character we know, it hits home a lot more than
Mm.
just this person is obviously a hero and boy are they having a bad time. You know, like I get what they were going for, but I feel like just one or two extra steps really would have made that a gut punch.
Hmm.
So
Well,
this is an execution nitpick on my end.
But on the flip side of that, the good thing I thought they did was the tragedy of looking at these kids possibly going to die and then them making a joke like after they've rescued him. Like, wow, that was a close one. I'm like,
Yeah.
stop it. Because then I was like, this is really heavy. And then cue the joke. And I'm like,
Oh
all right,
yeah.
all right, that was good balancing out my emotions.
But that was also me sitting here going, they're not going to murder children on screen. They're not going to murder children on screen. They're not.
Yes.
And for a second there, they really had me thinking they were going to murder children on screen. And then they didn't. So even knowing like, they're not going to do that. They're not going to do that. Oh God, they might do that.
They might. That's
having,
why I was like,
having that moment or two of, but will they? Before it
Mhm.
goes back to, no, they won't. They got saved in the nick of time. Just even convincing the audience for that half a second of, oh no, okay. And then that makes that joke hit for the audience as well.
Yeah.
Just that moment of, so yeah, no.
I do like that
I'm with you. That was good.
Yeah. And then I also like that Raraka didn't have that PTSD of trying to help that one person and then it turning out to be, you know, a fake. When
Toga.
that happened again, and this guy's like, I need you to help someone over here. I was so glad she didn't have that moment of hesitation. Like that just speaks to her being like, I'm going to rescue everybody. And I'm like, oh, her powers are perfect right now. Like, let me lift the impossible object off to you. Like, yeah, okay, good.
It's like, yeah, my wife is stuck in the back. Oh, what's the apartment number? And then getting in and bringing the wife out and seeing them embrace and just being like, okay, all right.
Yes. I was like, no, not another trap. Yeah.
It's the, I'm sure everyone has already seen this bit. It goes around whenever something happens in real life. But there is a quote from Mr. Rogers talking about disaster response and how, you know, it was upsetting to see it as a kid and that his mother always told him, look for the helpers. Even when something goes wrong, even when something is terrible, there are always helpers. There are always people who will help. This show is about the helpers. And as much as we're looking at this horrifying disaster that really super didn't need to happen, this mass murder from Shigaraki and the League of Villains, it's still, we still have this episode of, yes, this is a tragedy, yes, these horrible things are happening, look to the helpers.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we're getting. So
Yep.
there are definitely multiple different ways to approach this.
Yeah.
So that's kind of always where my brain goes, is look to the helpers. There's always going to be someone helping. That's just what humanity does.
Yeah.
So yeah.
There wasn't a whole lot in this episode, in the sense of a lot of the episode was so here's where we've been up till now.
The first half of the episode was, so it's
Okay.
been like 13 episodes. We're in the back half. We've switched opening and ending themes. So let's just do a quick recap because y'all, shit happened.
Mm-hmm.
So many things happened. Let's just try to condense everything that happened into, oh, this is going to take half the episode, isn't it? And framing it as here's the bare bones facts that were in the report.
Yep.
Versus the back half of the episode showing the aftermath, showing the losses, showing, all right, we're trying to pick things up. We're showing people talking about, well, is that footage we saw real? How are they going to handle it? We need, Endeavor should say something. Oh, I never trusted him. Getting all of that. So this was very much a bridge episode.
Yep.
It's all right. The actual fight itself is over.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're moving on.
It's here's who's alive, here's how injured they are, and this is how long we're probably going to be in injured territory for a bit, okay.
I have to say, I did love the bit where we pulled back to Shigaraki, and it's absolutely still One for All talking, and just the look on Spinner's face of, I have made a mistake. Just that dawning horror of, something went down. I made a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I can fix it. Just that. And again, we just have One for All monologuing about, we're going to go release my real body. It's never going to be anyone else's turn. From now on, it's just going to be my turn in this game. I love that. It's such a good metaphor, especially since we started this show with Shigaraki looking at the League of Villains and everything he was doing as a video game, talking about leveling up and final bosses and things like that. And we've come back around here to All for One going, my turn. It's always going to be my turn. And an episode preview about a fucking prison break, because when most of your heroes
there's a lot of people in prison right now too, of all these people being captured. I was like, this is a lot. Like, do they even have the capacity? Because this is far more than they probably ever were expecting.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. I'm sure there's like a separate holding facility at some point. Or at some place. We're talking about a prison break in Tartarus, which is like the Alcatraz prison break,
Yep.
Should be extremely difficult to do, but you got a bunch of Nomu. And again, most of your high-ranking heroes are either in traction or in the ground. So I keep coming back to Spinner, and just, this is an animation thing. This was very well drawn, very well animated, no dialogue, but you can see on his face just the full, I don't think I can fix this. I thought I was doing the right thing. I fucked up. I just, the situation is entirely out of his hands and he doesn't know what to do about it. I love that.
And I love his original plan. So much. He's like, this is not what I was going for. Yeah.
This is not who I signed up to follow. This is not what I wanted to do. This is not, I was here to follow Stain's ideals because Stain's ideals matched with my experience and the prejudice that I experienced because of this quirk that I didn't ask for.
Yep.
So it's so interesting to see someone who was ride or die for this because of his ideals, because he followed Stain, because he believed in that. He's wearing a Stain cosplay. That is his uniform. So to see everything he believed in and threw in behind get warped by the chess master behind the scenes, and realizing that he did not have the full picture. He did not know what was going on, and he did not expect this to happen. Trying to get the guy that he follows back in commission and unlocking the fucking demon he summoned instead. Like, again, all of this in just an expression as he listens to All for One talk with Shigaraki's mouth. I love it. Oh, it's so good. Just it's these little moments with this crystallization of characterization where you go, oh yeah, no, this guy is a minor character. Not as minor as some. He's been around, we know him, we now know his motivations and backstory, etc. But he still counts as a more minor
Mm.
character, even in comparison to other League of Villains people. And to just watch him and
Mm.
have this moment of, we got your backstory 2 episodes ago, we know what you're about now, you done fucked up, and you know it. It's such good storytelling to just
And
see that in some, like, this was the best part of the episode. This was so good. Just
he's
Spinner's
never been
fucking
presented as
face.
that evil either. Like
No.
you totally get it. Like his motivation, you're like, yes. Even when he gets his little speech too, like you're like, yeah, totally makes sense. Your life probably was so different than everyone else's in this group. Though I'd be really curious what would All For One, can All For One make you humanoid if you were an animalistic one? Like what happens
You can
to
take his
you?
quirk.
Right?
Yeah, it just,
I'd be curious what it would do.
we saw that when we saw the flashbacks explaining All For One. The quirk that he took from someone was horns, essentially.
Yeah,
And
but
the
that's
horns
not
disappeared
like
from the guy. And then the one he
Spinner has a
transferred it
lot
to,
more going on.
nonetheless, the one he transferred it to grew spikes all over his body.
Yeah.
So different expressions of quirk.
Sure.
But yeah, no, I would imagine that it would take away the gecko qualities and just make him
Mhm.
fully human.
Yep.
So
All right.
yeah, this is again, that to me was the best part of this episode. Just that distillation, that realization of, oh no, oh no. All of my life's decisions had led to this point, and it is a problem. And again,
Yes.
no dialogue from him.
Yeah.
Just that expression. Just so good. So good. Other people like,
Alright.
really? You've spent this long talking about 5 seconds of someone's face? Yes. Yes, I have. I'm here for the details. Do you know me?
Well, I would say the other things we are here for of letting people know about. Hey. Yeah, so this is our segment of the show where we'll let you know about other things we've been watching, reading, all that jazz that we think you should check out. I'm just looking in the live chat. Oh, yes. Gigaderic says, it is art.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Yes.
It's hard to nail something like that.
5 seconds. Yes,
It was
it's
the
correct 5
correct
seconds. Yes.
Yes. It was
All right.
objectively the best 5 seconds of the episode. Fight me. Let's go.
Yeah.
I think I've
All right,
challenged like
so-
3 different subsections of people to fight me at this point.
All kinds of fights.
Monday energy.
Yeah, so shows and things. Still currently watching the National Treasure Edge of History, which is still fun. If you like the National Treasure movies, I recommend it. Or if you like, just that adventure, solving puzzles and history, it's really entertaining. It is a younger group than the movies, and then very updated to today. If you want to also check out the interviews with the cast, they're here on this channel under the Comic-Con playlist, because then I was there, Comic-Con, and I talked to them all. So yeah, I'm glad. It's so nice when you you interview people and then you watch it and you're like, oh, it's actually good, because you never know.
Yeah. Sometimes you interview people and then you're like, oh.
Yes. But hey, you made a thing, so that's awesome. But this one, yes, I'd say National Treasure Edge of History is very entertaining. It's very fun. Another one that I got around to, there was a special screening of, I got to see Elvis, and it was a special screening with the director, production designer, costume designer, and the lead actor. If you have not seen it, it's very entertaining. It's very Baz Luhrmann and very extravagant and grandiose and in your face, and so great with music. So it was very entertaining. I do recommend it.
For those who are not familiar with the name Baz Luhrmann, Moulin Rouge, right?
Yes. Moulin Rouge, Strictly
Rouge.
Ballroom was his first big one, and which is not even that big, but
yeah,
that's the film nerds one that they've seen. He also did Australia, but Moulin Rouge, very similar vibes. There's a lot of some quick cuts and crazy editing. Love the editing of it. So really recommend that. That's I think it's in theaters maybe still, or you can check it out on HBO. I think not sponsored, but hey HBO. I was like, I think that's the main one. Oh, and then random one of not if this is one's not a plug, but I wanted to because my friend's part of it. This is from the Stranger Things experience that's in LA right now. One of my friends is one of the performers, so I was very excited to check that one out, and that was fun.
Nice.
And if you like Stranger Things, it's very entertaining and it's very interactive. So if you are one of those people that like you just kind of want to walk through, no, like they want you to do things and do like poses and like interact with it.
Yeah.
Which was fun, and our group was great. Everyone's like, all right, like yes, and they clapped after sections, which was also really nice because we didn't have anybody that's like, me, I'm not gonna do it. So it was nice that we had a fun group because that really makes a big difference.
Everyone was in the yes and mood.
Yeah, they're like, okay, let's do it.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go. It's always more fun to play along. Yes.
And what about you?
It's been a long week, you guys. It's like, what have I been watching? All the same stuff. So, all the same YouTube channels. Admittedly, one of the shows I watch had a very specific episode leak 2 weeks before its air date. If you know, you know. I did watch the leak. It was very good. And if you watched the leak, don't tell the creator. Don't post spoilers and slide into the DMs of other people whom you know have watched the leak in order to talk about it. Be respectful, be kind. I'm not going to fault you for wanting to see the thing because I also very much wanted to see the thing, but also watch it when it airs on the 21st. Show it the actual ratings and support that it deserves. And again, if you know, you know. If you don't know, it's a Google search away. And if you know, you know. Yep, watch the show. Aside from that, it has mostly just been the same YouTube channels because I keep finding myself with work to do when I'm at home in the evening, and I can't watch anything new because I can't focus on it if I'm doing other stuff. So it's been a lot of 10-minute Power Hour. 10-minute Power Hour is wonderful. I adore it. It's still updating. They did an episode on terrible kitchen tools this week, and that hot dog toaster is the hardest I've laughed in a while. Coca-Cola made a toaster where you put 2 buns and the hot dog in it and just toast the whole thing at once. Useless kitchen implements are some of my favorite 10-minute. And for those of you not familiar, the 10-minute Power Hour is by the Game Grumps, and it's basically them sitting down and doing something, and it gets edited into a 9 to 20-minute video depending. So we have the, trying out kitchen implements, or doing acrylic pours for painting, or getting old paintings and then painting on top of them to add new weird things to them. A lot of the painting ones were a lot of fun. Or they'll go to a donut shop and make donuts with the people there. Them doing mini golf is one of my favorite episodes. They had one recently where they went to Disneyland with a couple of other streamers and did stuff. They've played Wheel of Fortune. They've just done all sorts of absolutely ridiculous stuff. And 10-minute Power Hour is kind of my go-to when I just need to put something on and let the brain go and know that I will enjoy it. So 10-minute Power Hour. The YouTube channel is called The Grumps. I would argue that some episodes are better than others, but there are no bad episodes. The acrylic pour one continues to be one of my favorites. The one where they do a Bob Ross video is also straight up hysterical. Love the donut one. Love the mini golf one. Like, again, just pick one and roll. They are a lot of fun. So that's my recommendation, because it's been that and the same 5 Jaden Animations videos and the same 5 kill counts on Dead Meat, and creature of habit when I want the good brain juice, but I have to focus on other things. Comfort shows. At some point, I'm going to start putting Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles into my eyeballs. It's on the list. I went and found it on Netflix. I just haven't started yet, because I need to actually have time to focus on something, and we're not there.
Giga Derek points out, if you got High Dive, I'd like to recommend The Big O. I rewatched some of it after watching Trigun. I remember Big O being on TV. I think my
It
God.
was on Toonami, and they
Yes.
made Batman jokes, and they were right.
It was
Um,
entertaining. I remember I liked it.
it gets really philosophical towards the end in a way that you don't expect. Like it's good, just go in prepared for the fact that it is a thinker in addition to being a giant robot anime.
Yes.
It's good
I
stuff.
just
It's good
realized I
stuff.
was like, wait, I think I clicked the wrong one, but I think I was trying to get back to this one. There we go.
Also,
So,
if you haven't watched it, watch Trigun 1995. My
yes.
recommendation is the dub because Johnny Young Bosch is really hard to beat.
Yes.
Watch Trigun 1995, and then I don't know where it's streaming, but I'm sure Badlands Rumble is available somewhere. It's the movie they released like 10 years later, and it's still a ton of fun. So watch Trigun, and then also watch Trigun.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for tuning in to Nighttime at the Nerd Bar, episode 55.
Holy cow!
Woo! Thank you so much for being here. If you watch live, awesome. If you watch later, no worries, awesome as well. Leave comments down below about the stuff we talked about. Don't forget to give the video a thumbs up. Click the subscribe button. Katie, where can people find you online?
You can follow me all over the social medias as well as on YouTube and Twitch at Kiaxet. That is Kiaxet. I've blown the dust off the Twitch channel. Recently finished streaming a Jurassic Park game from 1997. So the VODs are on the Twitch channel and also on the YouTube channel. YouTube channel also has reaction videos, discussion videos, all sorts of fun stuff. I am going to try streaming a little bit more frequently, again with the whole having time to do things thing. But yes, I was recently given a cat-themed puzzle game, so that's next on the list. I am also a co-host on Silver Screams. It is a YouTube channel that covers horror things. Our most recent reaction was to the Red Band Evil Dead Rise trailer. It's a lot. If you're familiar with the Evil Dead franchise, you will understand exactly what a lot means. If you are not familiar with the Evil Dead franchise, you will learn very quickly why it was a Red Band trailer. And if you want to see me transcend reality and look away from the screen more than once, it's a good solid trailer. It looks like it's going to be a good solid movie. And if you like seeing horror reactions where one person is really super into it and one person is about to crawl out of their skin, that's my roommate and me. That's us on Silver Screams. That is the dynamic. So subscribe to that too. It's a good time.
Yay. Well, thank you, everybody, again. And you can find me online at Carrie D Lane. That's KARIDLANE across all social media platforms. I don't think I have anything super new to I'm like, I don't know why I'm looking around me, but I'm like, yes.
It's written right in front of me.
Yes, of course. I must have a post-it note. But yes.
It works.
Yeah, just check out there anything news posted on one of those things, as well as just check it out here on this channel. As I said, the Comic-Con playlist from this past Comic-Con, so it's Comic-Con 2022. It has the National Treasure videos, which we've been sharing some of those, which, by the way, if you're also new here or don't know and you're on TikTok, Fanversation finally has a TikTok account too. So go follow us over there. Follow us where we pointed and things. Yes. And yeah, thank you again for tuning in, and we'll be seeing you all next week.
Yeah. Join us for more Trigun.
Yay!